Again, my name is Charles Smith and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. I'm psyched that we made it through 2020, but this isn't a very Christmases video. This is a more on Halloween side of things. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I am very into conspiracy theories and scary videos and all that type of shit like that. I love that. That's my shit right there. But nothing freaks me out of all the Illuminati conspiracy theories, out of all of everything. Nothing gets shivers down my spine more than evolution's greatest mystery, MH370. Nothing sends shiver down my spine more than that case right there. I'm so into this case that I do not want to leave this earth. Before I leave this earth, it is on my bucket list to find out what happened to MH370. I am so fascinated, but about what happened. Respect to all the people that was on the plane, to the families and people and friends and loved ones that was on Flight 370 Malaysian Airlines. All respect to you. This case just fascinates me in ways I can't even understand, and it kills my curiosity. Just runs wild with this case right here. I'm sure most of you know, or at least have heard about the airplane that literally vanished into thin air, Malaysian Flight 370. And when I mean vanish into thin air, just in case for the people who haven't heard of Malaysian MH370, when I say vanish into thin air, I mean literally disappear into thin air. When that plane went off of Malaysian's radar, it was never seen again. None of the plane or the people that was on board in the plane were never seen again. Till this day, they still don't know what happened to MH370. My curiosity just runs wild with this one right here. I have so many theories and so many things of what I think happened to Malaysian Flight 370, and I just want to share them to you all out there. Once again, all respect to the loved ones and people's families that was on this flight. All respect to you. I hope one day they do find out what exactly happened to MH370. For the people, before I get into my theories and really I get down into it, for the people who don't know, I'm just going to recap what happened, what really was Malaysian Air Flight 370. Malaysian Flight 370, the Boeing 777, disappeared March 8, 2014 on a flight from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, but they never made it to Beijing, with 227 passengers inside the plane. This plane was huge. This was a huge plane. That's also, just keep that in mind. This is a huge plane. 227 passengers on board, including 3 Americans. They just 38 minutes after they took off, which everything seemed normal. It was a everyday from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, China. Everything ran normal, on schedule. Nothing seemed odd. Nothing seemed odd. That's what makes this so much more of a mystery. 38 minutes after they took off, the last thing that the flight attendant said was "Good night, Malaysian 370," and that was the final words heard from the cockpit. And then I believe at 2:22 a.m. they went off radar and it was never seen again. And then they had little blimps. I want to put that on the screen right here of what they was seen, and was the track. After they went off of radar, I don't know who or what turned off their radar, but they said that it had to be intentionally. But this was their track after they jolted east, then they jolted west, back over the Malaysian peninsula, and then they went back and then they went into the Indian Ocean, flying south towards Antarctica for 6 hours. But the pilot attendant left it on autopilot for, to fly to Beijing, and they were monitoring the autopilot. But that jolt east and then back west was obviously done intentionally. Rather, that was by the flight attendant or someone or something that was on that plane. But who or whatever did it was intentional. That autopilot. Autopilot flies in a straight line. It doesn't, jolts like that as you see in this believed track of Malaysian Flight 370 after it lost contact with radar. Now, what happened next is the big mystery. The mystery that got my curiosity just running wild. There's so many theories of what was believed that happened after they lost radar with Malaysian airport. One of the theories are that they got that a fire happened on board and the flight attendant tried to land back over in Malaysian airport in Malaysia, but they kept going, as you can see from this track. They kept going. Why they kept going is unknown. There was a fire on board. He would have hit an emergency landing at a nearby airport, whether there was one in Singapore or the one back in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. But if there was a fire on board, he would have landed at the airport. But according to this track, he kept going. Unknown why he kept going. Another theory that some people believe is that it was a suicide mission and he intentionally crashed the plane, even though there's no real evidence that the plane was crashed. But I'm gonna get into that in a minute. I don't believe this theory because he had over 18,000 hours of flight experience, and also he's been working there for 25 plus years. Why would he intentionally do that? And they did say he just went through a divorce, but also they said it was out of his character to intentionally crashed the plane. That was just out of his character. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I honestly don't believe that. Also, that's disrespectful for the people and his family and loved ones to say that he intentionally, killed himself and 227 other people, including 12 flight attendants. I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's what happened. He's been working there since 1981. I say that's unlikely that happened. I mean, come on, you guys. I mean, the fact that, I get why you would believe that or any of these theories because there's no evidence supporting any. But I don't think that's what happened, you guys. Come on. He's been working there for 30 years, almost. He's been working there for damn near 30 years. I don't think that one day he just decided, oh, I'm just gonna crash this plane with me and 227 people on board. I don't think that's what happened. I honestly do not think that he intentionally crashed his plane whatsoever. I do not believe his theory. Also, for him to intentionally crash the plane, he had a flight simulator that he made at his house, and he would have to have that planned so long. He would have to have that plan for months in advance. I don't think, especially to go off radar, and I don't think that's what that happened. I don't think that he intentionally crashed a plane. I honestly don't believe that. Theory number 3 is the theory that pretty much most of the people is believe. No one really believes anything because no one knows what happened because there's no evidence to support that anything happened. The plane disappeared soon as it went off radar. It was never seen again. It was never seen by human society again. But this is what the kind of theory 3, next theory, that the plane crashed in the Indian Ocean. This is what a lot of people think. Honestly, I'm an outlier. At least for me, in my opinion, there is not enough evidence that the plane even crashed. That's what got my curiosity running so far. You can't really say that the plane crashed either, because a wing that they claim is from the MH370 washed ashore on, I think it was on the coast of Madagascar or Africa, that they said that is a part of MH370. But the plane was this big. A plane this big with 227 people on the plane you're not just gonna find a piece of a wing. You're gonna find, even if it blew, even if it hit the ground, even if it hit the water and blew up into pieces, the seats is light. It would have been floating on top of the Indian Ocean. It would have been sitting there floating on the Indian Ocean. They would have found more debris than what they found if it crashed. That's why, and they scoped the under the sea floors of the Indian Ocean of where they think that it crashed, and they found nothing. It was the most costliest air evolution crash searches that they've ever happened in history. cost over $155 million to search the area just to find nothing. So next theory is, now you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna get into why I believe that. I don't think it was aliens. Like, a lot of people think the plane went to a black hole or aliens took over it. Now, I'm gonna sound crazy. I don't believe in. I do believe in aliens. I'm not even gonna lie. All these stars and planets on the universe, and there's no way in hell we are the only one in this gigantic universe. But I'm not saying it was aliens either. A lot of people said aliens came and took the plane and brought it into some parallel universe. Now, my theory goes a little something like that. I believe, I don't know if you remember, like 2 years ago, that that big Twitter voicemail thing that was related, that they think that was related to this MH370. I think something or someone on that plane was non-human, and it took over the plane and brought in, according to this track, I believe that something or someone on that plane, if Malaysian Flight 370 encountered something non-human, I believe that at least 90%. I believe that. That's the one I believe the most. Although if you do believe in that aliens took over the plane, as crazy as that may sound, there's no evidence to prove there was a crash. There's no evidence to prove there was a fire on board. There's no evidence to prove that any of these things happened. So it is the same amount. It is as believable that aliens took over the plane that the plane crashed, because both have no evidence to support that's what happened. That's what makes this so much of a mystery. And if you look at this track that it took after it did all those jolts, and it flew south for 6 hours straight. It just flew south. And look where it's, out of all the continents, out of all the places on Earth where it chose to drift 6 hours. It could have drifted 6 hours to the north towards China. It could have drifted towards Africa. It could have drifted towards Australia. Out of all the places it drifted towards, is the one place with no human, is the one continent on Earth with no human civilization whatsoever, that is home to no one. Antarctica. That is where it drifted. If it would have kept drifting for 2 to 3 more hours, it probably would have landed in Antarctica. One place on Earth with no human civilization. Out of all the places that this airplane drifts is near Antarctica. After that, they see it only had enough fuel for 7 hours and 21 minutes of flying, which was more than enough time needed to fly from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, China. That was a 5.5 hour trip. That plane drifted 6 hours to direction it drifted towards was Antarctica, the place on Earth with no human civilization. That seems so weird to me. I believe that someone or something on that plane was non-human. And also, where are the people? Is there a possibility that the people... I have so many questions. Is there a possibility that these people are still alive? Like, there's no evidence that the plane crashed. There's no evidence of anything. There might be a possibility that these people are still alive, whether they're alive being held captive somewhere on Antarctica, or a parallel universe, or not of this world. The theories are endless when it comes down to MH370. There is endless. So you can't really blame anyone wrong for believing in pretty much any of these theories, because there's no evidence that support any of these theories, because the plane, as soon as it went off radar at 2:22 a.m., it was never seen again. None of the 227 people, none of the flight attendants, none of the pilots, none of them was seen again. To this day, as I make this video, 7 years, almost 8 years after, still we know nothing. The only thing we found was a wing that washed up on shore on the coast of Madagascar in Africa. A piece of the wing, which They think that they claim that was from the Boeing 77, which I think they say it was, but still, a plane that big would not just leave, it would leave hella debris. And they even searched the ocean floor and they found nothing. Sadly for the families who loved ones were on that plane, this place was closed in 2017, but was shortly reopened in 2018 when they shortened the what they think the plane crashed at the 33,000 square miles, and this is where they searched, which the search zone was 33,000 miles. This is where they searched to find in pieces or at least evidence of a wreckage of MH370 in 2018, and once again they found nothing, and it's been closed again. I hope and pray that they reopen this search mission, even though it was the evolution's most costliest search mission to find anything. Cost over $155 million to find nothing. And it's so devastating for the people who have loved ones on that plane. I also have a theory that is also didn't have no support. I just also had a theory also that I created. This isn't right. I don't even believe this theory myself. I created it, but maybe that maybe the plane landed on one of those deserted islands, and the people in the plane there is being held captive, and the people or whoever government that owns the island that they landed on is threatening them, saying if you tell anyone what happened about whatever happened on the island, that they were going to kill him, or they threatened him somehow, and they sent him back on a plane, on a private plane that couldn't be detected by radar, back to China or Australia or Malaysia, and the people never was allowed to tell what happened. But you can't. I don't think that's what had happened. That was a stupid theory of mine that I just created out of nowhere. But it's just the fact that you don't know. This plane disappeared out of nowhere, and there's no evidence to support that anything happened after it went off radar. So no one really knows what happened after it went off radar. So the theories are endless, really. Again, there's no evidence. I still say there's no real evidence that a crash happened, because they only found a piece of its wing that they think that was from Malaysian Flight 370. I don't know, you guys. I just hope one day that they finally find out what happened to Malaysian Flight 370, whether that's they find a wreckage, they find a crash, or one day an unknown plane that is Malaysian Flight 370 lands in Beijing, China, like 30, 40 years from now. And it's like, and everyone's like, what the hell? Whether that's what happened,